you on recording?
Recording in that. I think Dino is recording.
Either way.
I would prefer without that. தமிழும் கலந்து பேசலாம்ல, அதெல்லாம் தமிழ்லயே பேசலாமா, எப்படி வேணாலும் பேசலாம். அதாவது வந்து இங்கிலீஷ் ஒன்லிங்கிறவங்க யாரா இருக்காங்க? Is there anybody who is only English? Only one. Okay, I'll generally do it in English. Now, it's so nice to hear about oneself being spoken so well, and I sometimes wonder, is it about me he is talking? Okay. Now, he said that he did not know what I am going to present. I am also not very clear. I will go rather without too much of introduction. I will go into this one. What I am going to do today is, it is going to be in two parts. One is, I am going to show you Mahabalipuram through my eyes, so that in future you will be able to see it through your eyes. That is, it is going to be fairly detailed going through of Mahabalipuram. But it is likely to be within 1.5 hours and 2 hours, and anybody can stop me in between and ask any question. For most of the questions, I do not have the answer. That is besides the point. I will start immediately. What you see is the Kalari Murti of Kodumbalu, perhaps one among the best sculptures of this country. This happens to be my logo. Kodumbalu is about 30 kilometers from Pudukkottai. It is in Pudukkottai district. It is actually on the way from Tiruchi to Madurai. Ralimalai, immediately after that one is Kodumbalu. It was a capital of the Irukuveli, and this temple, the Mover Kovil, was built by Irukuveli. That is, it is a early Chola temple. Irukuveli, our Citrasara. So better. Mahabalipuram holds an important place in the art history of the Tamil country and of India. Its temples and sculptures are not only some of the earliest in this region, but also significant in variety and in elegance. The whole thing starts with Mahendra Pallava in the Tamil country, also called he called himself Vichitrachitra. And most of his descendants called themselves Atyanta Kama. Rumba Puruthamana Vishnu. Beginning of carving temples in stone in the Tamil country was made by Mahendra Pallava in the AD 7th century. And this is in Mandagapattu. It is very close to Senchi. This is the famous inscription. On the left you see it is almost gone. And if anybody is interested, please go and see now. After 3 or 4 years you will not find it. It is the earliest, perhaps one of the earliest Grantha inscriptions. What it says is, Eta Danishta Madruma Manoham Ashuddham Vichitra Chittena Nirmapita Nripena Maheshwara Vishnu Lakshitayanam. This cave temple is called the Lakshitayanam. This has been cast by Vichitra Chitta without using Shengal, Maram, Uloham, மற்றும் சுண்ணாம்பு பயன்படுத்தாம. Without using brick, timber, metal and mortar. What he says is this is going to be a permanent structure. In fact, we have had temples before this period, most likely made out of perishable materials. And there is no relics of any of these things. Though there is one that is being very recently found in here. Salvakuppam is considered to be belonging to the Sangam period. Then the Tamil landscape came to be studded with innumerable temples then on. Mahabalipuram story starts with Mahendra's son, Narasimha Pallava, who shifted the location for his creative efforts to his port town Mahabalipuram, Mamallapuram, which is named after Mamalla, a title of Narasimha. Temple building activity was carried on by his descendants till 728 CE. Narasimha's grandson Parameshwara and his great-grandson Narasimha continued developing the town. Later, Narasimha shifted out and concentrated in his capital Kanchipuram and his environs. That is end, almost 100 years. Mahabalipuram started and ended in almost 100 years. And most of them are incomplete. Except for the two shore temples, all of them are incomplete, in various stages of incompletion. Mahabalipuram became a museum of temple architecture. It is something very important, something that is very close, 60 kilometers from here. It is a real museum of temple architecture. I am going to tell you why. Cave temples from the most rudimentary to the most sophisticated. Monoliths of great variety. This is Atyanta Krama business is, there is no two monument will be the same. Everything there will be some amount of variation. For example, here, hut-shaped Draupadi Ratha. Hut-shaped Draupadi Ratha, wagon roof Bhima Ratha, apsidal or rectangle over which half a circle, apsidal Sahadeva Ratha, Dravida Arjuna Ratha, Dravida Dharmaraja Ratha, Nagari Pidari Ratha. What more you want? Structural temples of diverse styles and one is on the very edge of the sea, shore temples. Only Atyanta Krama will think of building a temple on the hilltop, on the top of the hill, and finally only one on the Dharaparma, Mukunda Nayanar temple. Unique art treasures like the bas relief of the Great Pillars. Unusual excavations, the Tiger Cave in Saluvakuppam. We don't know what it is for. Countless pieces of art strewn all over. Varaha sculpture, the single cell temple. Lion temple. You see, Durga, we know Durga is associated with the lion and the deer. And the lion happens to be her Varaha. But only an Atyanta Krama would have thought of having the lion and having a niche for the Durga idol. Mini tiger cave and others, all sorts of things. Any outcrop, it is converted to something else. Panels of great elegance. Varaha, Trivikrama, Mahishasura and Anantasaya. Sculptures of extraordinary beauty. As far as sculpture is concerned, the Pallavas are comparable only with the Guptas. And the near comparison is the Edi Chola temples. And remember, these are all done on granite, the hardest material known. From the beginning to the end, it has got to be chisel and hammer, nothing else. And I am going to tell you, this is earlier to Pallavas working on granite was Ashoka 800-900 years ago. Nobody in between had worked on granite. And the expression on granite, this is what it is. Unfortunately, 99.999% of people cannot see these things because it happens to be in the first and second level of Dharmaraja Ratha. You cannot reach. Calligraphy, but intriguing inscriptions. I am going to say something about it later. Pallava, the script is Pallava Grantha, a contribution of the Pallavas. Make the Mamalla Museum an exciting place. How many of us who go there for a day, half a day, etc., are aware that the kind of treasure that we have in Mamalapuram. Mamalapuram is a World Heritage. UNESCO has declared Mamalapuram monuments as World Heritage Monuments in 1984 for its Descent of Ganges is a unique artistic achievement. The bas relief, this is the first time and the last time. You don't see it anywhere. Open air bas relief, this is the first and the last in the whole country. Mamalapuram is a testimony to the Pallava civilization in Southeast Asia. Its sculptures are characterized by the softness and suppleness of their model, something very important. The influence of sculptures spread to the east, to Cambodia, Java, etc. I am going to say a few words about this one later. Mamalapuram is a unique site. The Pallava sculptures is in the classical style, right at the first center. For example, I can only compare it with the two more in Indian context. One is our Sangam literature. It's classical. There was nothing like that before, nothing like that later. It died with the Sangam period probably. So also Ajanta. Nothing like that before, nothing like that later. And they started it and we do not know where they had their experimentation. But everything was in classical style. Yes, sir.
Do you think there is a problem? This is the first time the sculptors are playing with the granite. And just to get anything right is going to take some years.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is the 100 years that they experimented with, they're perfect. And that's very, very hard to believe.
Actually, I would say, I don't put it into that kind of mystery. They would have definitely had some experimentation. We have not got any evidence of that one, that's all. It will come later. For example, even Sangam poetry.
Right.
Definitely there must have existed something before. That kind of suggestion, that kind of convention to sit in those days, like the Aham and Puram and so on, so forth, extremely sophisticated. And there is nothing like that later, in the entire Indian context. It would have taken definitely some time. But it would have taken a few centuries probably, if not more. But we don't have. They are wrought on granite, the hardest material, a feat accomplished 700 years after Ashoka. Mamalapuram is a one-stop shop for temple architecture of the south. Mamalapuram is the only place in India where all the three stages of temple architecture, namely cave temple, single stone temple, that is monolith, and structural temples can be seen. The open air bas reliefs are not found anywhere else in the country except in Mamalapuram. There is one more interesting thing, I don't know whether I have included. There are number of sculptural items that appear only during the Pallava period and never later. I am going to show you quite a few of them, like single cell temple and so on and so forth. There are a number of them that appear from the first time and the last time. It is not repeated anywhere in the Tamil country. Unanswered question. This makes it very exciting. The unanswered question makes it very exciting. What is the history of the site before the Pallavas chose it? Lots of mythological stories about the Totema. There are a number of stories. But historically we are not able to establish very clearly. Was there? What was happening in the place what we call Mahabalipuram? There is one more question. We have all accepted Mahabalipuram was the port city of Pallavas. Narasimha Sir also questions. It's not possible. That place is not fit for a port. But anyway, that is, I will leave it to Mr. Narasimha to go into the research of this. Is there a city under the sea? Why is it named Mahabalipuram? Mamalapuram became Mahabalipuram how? How did the name Seven Pagodas come into use? Europeans called exclusively by the name Seven Pagodas. Which are the seven? Who were the authors of the monuments? Most people agree that it was started by Mamalla, Narasimha Pallava. His grandson, continued continued some of these activities, continued finishing some of them and did something on his own. And his son Rajasimha produced some, caused some more monuments. But this is the majority opinion. There are also people who feel, there are experts who feel that it is all done by Rajasimha. And this is not the case where it can be decided by majority vote. So leave it at that one. What do we understand by the enigmatic inscription found in a number of places? There are at least 3 inscriptions, long inscriptions, which are very similar. What the inscription says, all of them say is, I, Atyanta Kama, has caused this shrine for Lord Shiva. But all the 3, if you accept chronological development of temple architecture, belong to different periods. What does it mean? Was Atyanta Kama one person or 3 persons? Why the same, almost the same shlokas are repeated? Is it they were already there and somebody went and wrote his name there? Is a question. Why most monuments are unfinished? There were wars in between. During Narasimha time also, then Parameshwara time also. In Rajasimha time there was not much of a war, it was more or less peaceful. And each more or less ruled for about 40 years or so. And there are 3 people who did it, one after the other they had been, and why they are unfinished? Except for short temples, all of them are various stages of incompleteness. Who are the royal figures in the Adivaraha Mandapa, which probably will take up later? In the great penance of Arjuna or Bhagirath, number of PhDs have been produced on this. How did the short temple complex develop? Is a question which I am not going into the detail even later. Why are the short temples located at the very edge of sea? Most likely, even when it was built, it was at the very edge of the sea. Because, very important one, because all east-facing temples should have the Balipeetam, Kodimaram, etc. in the east. All of them are found in the west of, in the Mahabalipuram complex. So, it is very likely that when it was constructed at the very edge of the sea. Why many monuments are named after the Mahabharata heroes? This came much later, probably during the Vijayanagara period later. Why are the immovable monoliths called Rathas? What is the full story of wanton vandalism during the Narasimha period and later during the Vijayanagara times? Why these monuments of international fame now did not attract the attention of the contemporary religious hours at the height of the Bhakti movement? Kanchi was the intellectual capital of the south during the period, but why there is hardly any literary reference to Mamalabha? And there are more. Before going to Mamalabha, can we look for possible inspiration in the vicinity? Perhaps this area connected with the Pallava clan, they were probably working under the Shatavahanas and 2nd century BC to 4th century, and Buddhist monuments in Amaravati were developed at that time. Probably they were also present there. Then came the Ikshvaka dynasty, Nagarjuna, Buddhist monuments in Andhra Pradesh. The Pallava contemporaries too imbibed the spirit of artistic creativity like the Pallavas, and their contribution to southern temple architecture is no less. I want to emphasize that point. Whenever we think of temple architecture of south, we think of Pallava and we think of Chola, etc., etc. The Pandyas, perhaps the longest ruling dynasty in the whole world was probably the Pandyas. 4th century BC to the 18th century AD. And most likely, the earliest cave temple was established by the Pandyas in Playarot, because of the foundation inscription, which is definitely dated to the 2nd century or before. And they have contributed enormously to temple architecture. Most likely, we cannot even name one person. Anyway, the period was truly momentous. The southern contemporaries, Chalukyas, this is from Badami, this is a cave temple, but in softer stone. This is in Tirmayam, the Pandyas. one among the largest Palikonda Perumal. We seem to enjoy and celebrate royal splendor. Thus we attribute the Mamale marvels to the Pallava kings, little realizing royal intentions and wealth alone would not have sufficed. But these were the work of the sculptor whose names we do not know. They say that in Punjeri we have got these names and so on. But having made this one, why do you go all the way under 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers and on a tub you write the name of this one? I don't understand. Now, we may keep in mind what would make a good sculptor. A whole life of dedication, starting with the decades of apprenticeship under elders, study of scriptures and canons, the ability to imbibe bhava and transfer the same to inanimate material, capacity to concentrate, and many more. What would he get in return? No family or social life, living with anxiety all life, anxious of the outcome of his work and the reaction of the royal painter. Kailasan gave me a very beautiful DVD, which is the story by Ganapati Sthabati. The whole this one revolves around how the fellow has been, first of all, the sculptor his one was cut, then hand was cut and so on. How did he go about still producing, creating art? No, whether it was true or not, we understand today the royal patrons had not been very kind to most of the artisans or the Sthapatis. At least that is the story that we get. We may also keep one more aspect in mind while visiting our religious sites. What we celebrate as wonderful art were not created as art objects. They were meant to be objects for contemplation, meditation, religious focus. We fail to understand and appreciate the metaphysical, spiritual and philosophical significance. Maybe we are seeing these monuments from the wrong side of the telescope. You must keep this one in mind. We are incapable of looking at it from the direction in which it has been originally created with. Many of us may not know that in Indian religious art, all sculptures are plastered and painted. What we see today in most places, the base bereft of plaster and paint. One will have to use one's own imagination how these would have looked in their glorious days. What astonishes us is that even the base stone sculpture is alive and expressive, which tells us that for the sculptor every step is important to be done with utmost spiritual concentration. இந்த மாதிரி படம் எல்லாம் பண்றதுக்கு வந்து நம்ம கார்பெண்டர் இங்க உடனே பச்சை சார் நாங்க வந்து பாலிஷ் பண்ணும்போது பூச்சிடுவோம். No, this cannot be done here. Every step is equally important. Now what we see is without the plaster. If something is broken, they will throw it out. They will have to start again. Authorship and chronology. There is no complete unanimity among experts. But the following can be taken as the majority view. As I told you, majority view may not hold good in matters like this. Narasimha Pallava initiated excavating cave temples, Pandavaratha, the single stone temples, and sculpted the great penance panel. His grandson Parameshwara not only completed some of the unfinished ones, incompletely completed some of the unfinished ones, but also sculpted Ganesh Ratha, a single stone Ratha. His son Rajasimha was responsible for building the structural shore temples and also developing the complex. Location. The monuments are located within the village of Mahamalapuram and in Salvakuppam, a neighborhood. Now let us visit Mamalai monuments. Most of the cave temples are excavated on a large hillock that is oriented along north-south. Two are located in Salvakuppam, the neighboring village. One can see cave architecture from the simplest to the most sophisticated, making it possible following the development of temple architecture in Mamalappuram, if it exists. Kodikal Mandapam. Most people will not have gone to Kodikal Mandapam. It is in a slightly roundabout way. When you go to Trimurti Mandapam, you take a right turn, you take a left turn, go behind. and go up slightly, an incomplete one is there. Belonging to the early phase, the simple shrine is the only one dedicated to Durga. The lovely women gatekeepers are the sole sculptures found here. In all cave temples, at least cave temple period, the worship is done. There was no idol except a painting or a relief sculpture in wood on the back wall of the Garbhagriha. No lingam. And the only sculpture, permanent sculpture that you will find even in Mandagapatta and other places will be the gatekeepers. Dharmaraja Mandapam. This could be another shrine belonging to the early phase, judging from the simple features: massive square pillars and lack of any embellishment. These are the two gatekeepers which have been completely chipped off during the later period. There are 3 cells, and it's likely that the central was dedicated to Shiva. The mutilated gatekeepers and the inscription on the wall make it an important monument. This cave temple is the first one that you are going to see immediately after the unfinished Great Penance, slightly above, and above that one you can see the lighthouse and so on. When you go there, nobody will notice that there is a beautiful inscription on the left wall, southern wall. It is an inscription of 11 stanzas written in 14 lines. The language is Sanskrit, like most inscriptions of the Pallavas in the Malay period. In fact, I have made a mistake. All inscriptions of the Pallavas were in Sanskrit only, and the language, most of them, except one, all of them are in Pallava Granthas. The inscription is important for a variety of reasons. It is an elegant writing, Indian calligraphy at its peak. The inscription says that the shrine was carved by a king whose title was Atyanta Kama. But we are not certain which Pallava king it is, for many Pallavas assumed this title. It is also intriguing as almost a similar inscription is found in the Ganeshartha and also the Adhikana Chanda Mandapam, which may belong to different periods if one were to accept chronology based on stylistic variations. This is the inscription. You can barely see, thanks to Lockwood, Michael Lockwood, one among the greatest contributors to the Mahabalipuram heritage. It is his transcription. It's a beautiful writing. The 5th stanza says, King Atyanta Kama, who has subdued the territories of his foes, is famed by the name of Ranajaya. He caused to be made the house of Shambhu. Atyanta Kamo Nrupatir Nirjitarati Mandalaha Khato Ranajaya Shambho Tenegam Veshmakaritam. This is the 5th stanza which says this one. Then there are lots of stories before, lots of stories later. This is the operative sentence. Koneri Mandapam. Another belonging to the early period, this shrine is 5 cells. Again, we do not know who are going to be the 5 gods to be accommodated here. And there are no clues as to the 5 deities to be housed. Some of the gatekeepers are mutilated. Something very interesting about this one. This is the point of Dr. Narasamy. See, the front row of pillars are square with 8 facets in the middle, whereas inner rows are round. All other people, and all other people were saying that initially they started with the Mahendra kind of pillar, then it became smaller, then the later period it became round, then it is a pillar sitting on the head of a sitting lion, then standing lion and so on. This is chronological development. In this particular case, we have the problem where the front rows are Mahendra and the inner rows are early Mamalla. What do you make out of it? This is what unanswered question. The presence of 2 different shapes of pillars is an intriguing factor that questions the chronological development of architecture. When you go through this, you go through a beautiful landscape. The whole of Coromandel coast the indigenous vegetation is called tropical dry evergreen forest. Only patches remain. And one among the patches, at least two patches you can see in Mamallapuram. And this, when you go to Koneri Mandapam, you can see that one. And I have done a complete documentation of this one, where you can find something very interesting. A dead palm tree only as high as this one, 4 feet, and it is 250-300 years old. This particular one, Denisio, is a creeper. Its girth is at least as much as this one, not less than 250 years old. There are a number of such things. There is only one ficus plant, which is a creeper. All others are trees, like our Alamaram, Marsamaram, etc. You can find it over here. There is some very interesting thing over here. In fact, I think we should, I attempt to see what does Mahabalipuram offer, so that we can appreciate. For example, Mahabalipuram offers to study the indigenous vegetation of this area. We have the tropical dry evergreen forest. Mahishasuramartini Mandapam, though unfinished, the 3-celled shrine contains 2 priceless panels, Mahishasuramartini and Ananta Sanctum. The sanctum contains an early relief of Somaskanda. The portico in front of the sanctum is a unique feature. What you see over there, line pillar. நடுவில் ஏதாவது கேள்வி கேட்டா நடத்தும். அதுதான் போயிட்டு எனக்கு மறந்து போறதுக்கு சான்ஸ் இல்லை. I am going to take up both these panels for greater discussion later, if the time permits. Athirana Chanda Mandapam, situated in Salvakuppam, close to the Tiger Cave, the temple has a few uncommon features. In addition to your Somaskanda is the sanctum, there are 2 more in the front hall. There were 2 more in the front hall. Sorry, it is there, I'm sorry. There are 2 more Somaskanda panels in the front hall at the Mandapam. There were 2 more lingam also in the Ardha Mandapam, at least in the photograph given by Longhurst in 1928. But we cannot even find a trace of the existence of 2 lingams in Athirana Chanda Mandapam today. It's an intriguing factor nobody has talked about. In 1928, when the Pallava Antiquities was published by ASI, the photo is there, given by Longhurst. There are 2, and British Museum photo also shows that one. We don't know where it is now. This is the Garbhagraham, where you have a Dharalingam. Behind it is a beautiful Somaskanda. The presence of beautiful bas relief of Mahishasuramartini, that's what you see over there. 2 important inscriptions in that way. In the Valliyo, this is one inscription that is on this side. The other one is on this side. This is in Devanagari, this is in Pallava Grantha. Almost the same text. In fact, this Pallava Grantha inscription must be either the earliest Devanagari inscription, the Devanagari inscription here must be the earliest Devanagari inscriptions of the country, or one of the early Devanagari inscriptions of India. In the Grantha inscription, this is the Devanagari inscription. Similar inscription is found in Dharmaraja Mandapam and the Ganesha Ratha. That is why it is intricate. The text is almost the same. Varaha Mandapam. This dainty shrine has a well-finished facade and galley-based pillars of latest style. Something beautiful. Excellently modern. Yes, please.
The Devanagari that was displayed here, was that also an early version of Devanagari which is different from what is available today? But that doesn't seem to be...
You see, everything there is a definite change over a period of time. So, Devanagari started around the Girnar for the inscription of Rudradaman was probably the earliest Devanagari No, that's the earliest Sanskrit inscription. Am I right? Rudradaman's Girnar inscription is the earliest Sanskrit inscription. But when you call for example, Tamil, more or less by Vijayanagara time, our Tamil is standardized, more or less become as it is today. But even then you can find some change.
There's down below the Tamil inscription in the same mandapam.
Huh?
The Tamil inscription in the same mandapam. There's no.
There are so many things in this. In fact, in the one that I showed you a little before, the Adirna Chanda, there is an inscription of the Rajaraja Chola times. What is painful is that all of us are walking over, and just imagine if it had been any other Western country, even to just look at it, you will have to pay $5. And many things are just lost. Just imagine Rajaraja's inscription, and we don't carry a number of places it's chipped off. Number of places it's chipped off.
He chose to do that one, that inscription there in that mandapam.
Huh?
That Chola period inscription
Yes.
there. Is there any connection about the Cholas going there and seeing, or why no other place has got any other inscription of Chola?
No, Chola inscriptions are there in Manavali.
No, like this. I mean.
Like this, yes, in short temples. You have in, and in you have in Adivara also. But its importance lies in the four extraordinary compositions: Varaha, Lakshmi, Durga, and Trivikram. எனக்கு நான் போட்டோலாம் எனக்கு எடுக்க தெரியாது, அதான் எடுக்க அதை வச்சுட்டு போறது கிடையாது. So I steal photographs from various places. That's why some of them are good, some of them are not so good. And I wish some of us could put some effort into it and make an excellent album of Mahabalipuram monuments available for other people to use. In fact, there is a lot that you find in the net. Here, there is another one called Adivaraha Mandapam, which not many people visit, not many people can visit also. The reason is, it is under worship. And most of the time it is locked. And you can always go and get the butter there and ask him to come and he will come and help you. You give him some money, he will come and help you. But the point is, it is in such a dark shape. The same, most of the time it is locked. And it is very difficult to stay there even for 10 minutes. But it contains some of the best sculptures of Mahabali. What you have is, these are two uncommon sculptures. The one on the left is Simha Vishnu with his queens, and the next one, standing leading the two queens, is Mahendra Pallava, as per the inscription given there. But that Nagaswami's interpretation is different. There is the majority opinion at the time to be. Now, it also contains a number of very beautiful sculptures as you find in Varaha Mandapa. The one on the left is a beautiful Brahma, Vishnu, Gangadhara, Harihara, then Gajalakshmi, almost a similar composition as you find in Varaha Mandapam, and finally a beautiful Durga, Vishnu Durga. All Durgas are Vishnu Durgas. That means Shanti Chakravarti, carry it, they will carry it. And it's a beautiful Tribhanga pose of Durga. Dedicated to Adivaraha is Adivaraha, it is under worship. But the later construction marked the appearance like the Varaha temple. This has a number of very beautiful sculptures, some being royal portraits important. There are two inscriptions of importance, one of which list all the 10 avatars of Vishnu. In Pallava Grantha, the orthography is very clear, choreography is also very clear, it is done. So what is important is that it lists the 10 avatars of Vishnu, the 9th one being Buddha, not Krishna. That's important. I thought that all the time that is in the north only, the tradition is that the Krishna avatar is displaced by Buddha avatar. But I find it is here, and of course Dhyaraswami also thinks Buddha only. In his Divinam Kirtana, it is Buddha only, not Krishna. Ramanuja Mandapam. When I go there, I tell them this is our Babri Masjid. What I have seen is the side shore of Mamalai. What should have been the most beautiful cave temples. Every sculpture has been chiseled out. Every one. Fully mutilated. Relief of single-story temples on either side is a tribute to the boundless desires of the Pallavas to be ever invented. On the two sides, I told you that every time in any cave temple there will be a new feature, like what we have here on the two sides. This is a real sheer poetry in stone. These three cells without front halls again. Normally you have an Ardha Mandapam, then only Garbhagriha. Sometimes you have Maha Mandapam also before the Ardha Mandapam. That is the traditional this one. The Pandyas have always done directly a cell on the wall. They have done number of places. Pallavas have not done. Here they have gone to this one. That there are three cells. The central one is Shiva, and this side you have Vishnu. On the left, it is not Brahma, it is Brahma Shastra, Subramanya. And the last one that you see on the end, you also here, has a beautiful book. And its Magara Torana probably is one of the best, as good as what you find in Mahendra Pallava. Is it?
Kailas.
Huh?
Kailas.
Probably age is catching up. Many Pallava kings called themselves Atyanta Kamas, of boundless desire, for which this monument is an example. The facade is decorated with 11 excellently modeled yalings. Dalavan or Magara Torana, Badaga. However, Vichitra Chitta is no less. Every time new. Vichitra Chitta, in fact, the Dalavan, the very selection of the place is something fantastic. And I don't know how these people went and selected Mahendra Pallava. Did he go on his horse and searching out all over the place? I mean, it's very interesting. And it's so far away from Kanchipuram. It is like Delhi from here during that period, you know. Anyway. Yeah, that Tiger Cave. It is called the Tiger Cave in Tamil, Puliguhai. And what is important is, they formed a outcrop. It was probably something like this. They immediately thought of a beautiful arch made out of yards. And each one is so different, so lively. There is one thing that you will find in the Pallavas of this period. Everything is alive. Everything is alive. There is nothing which you will find it static and solid. There is no clue to the purpose for which this has been excavated. There are a number of unfinished reliefs, 2 elephants with an unidentified deity on the howdah of each, a running horse and a train within a line, all add to the mystery. Then again, let us keep that refrain Atyanta Kama. Single stone rathas. The famous Panchapandava rathas are excavated out of 2 smaller hills. 5 monolith temples have been sculpted over 2 hillocks. The tallest Dharmaraja Ratha and Arjuna Ratha have 8-sided top. The Bhima Ratha is wagon shaped, the Draupadi Ratha is hat shaped, and the Sahadeva Ratha is apsidal. This variety is astounding, and all the overall effect is enchanting. 3 freestanding animals, an elephant, a lion, and a bull, are the hallmark of the Pallava craftsmanship. They found when they made this one, the Sahadeva Ratha, there was a small hill there. Then they thought probably what should be done. They decided, people say that is because this apsidal is also called Gajaprishta. Like this. This is a rectangle over which you have half a circle, semicircle over there. So it is called Gajaprishta, the hid part of an elephant. So they have also sculpted one close by.
So how many workers have took part in the
Hours would have spent on making these things, and they are not able to really figure out Yeah, and there, as I told you, number of unanswered questions. How many people were there? Were they cast at the same time? Was there a master? Was there a chief architect? How did they mark? If you go to the Yellora Kailasanatha temple, you will be worried, you will be surprised. The entire Kavaleshwara temple, or slightly bigger than Kavaleshwara temple, is excavated out of a living rock. When did they do marking? How did they start? As an engineer, I still wonder how could they have done? They have got to go from the top. How did they do it? These are really something that we should not know. We really don't know. Dharmaraja Ratha. Pinnacle of achievement of the Pallava Samadhi stands tallest and has 3 levels. Along with the Dravida Shikhara. Dravida Shikhara இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிறது 8-sided சிகரம் அவ்வளவுதான். அது 4 இருந்ததுனால இந்த நாகரிகம். Originally it was not like this. Later it became standardized like this. It's a visual treat. There are sculptures and those on the higher levels are iconographic delight. Fantastic. Something that everybody should find out sometime and make the ASI people conduct a festival of Mahabalipuram and make everybody access to this one, because probably the best sculptures are hidden from public eye. I am going to show some of them. This is the only resort containing inscriptions, of which some are important. Because in one of them it says Atyanta Kama Pallaveshwara Gram. This is the only name that is given to any temple here. Originally intended to have a shrine in each floor, the ground floor is incomplete and steps to reach the upper floor has not been made. But one can go from the second level to the higher. And step second floor the second level the third level step இருக்கு. அதெல்லாம் அத்தியந்த கவர் எழுதியிருப்பாங்க. அந்த பிரகாரத்திலையும் சரி, மேல பிரகாரத்திலையும் சரி, அருமையான sculptures. Who accompanied me on that? Ashok Selvam. It's a great treat. And it's precarious. மேல போறது ரொம்ப ஈஸி. அவங்க ஒரு ரிக்கெட்டி ஏணி தருவாங்க. எதை பிடிச்சாலும் நம்ம கீழே வந்துருமோன்னு தான் பயமா இருக்கு. On the ground level are sculpted images of 7 gods and King Narasimha. All of them are similar standing poses. Some have label inscriptions above them, and those labels have nothing to do with the diagrams, the sculptures. These are all, the labels are all titles of the Pallava kings. The last one is Narasimha Pallava. The remaining things are all this. All Shiva. This is Adhanadi. This is Subramanya. This Dakshinamurti. Harihara. Etc. Dharmaraja, second level. You see, there are, yes please.
Sir, was there enough light? Is there enough light in the second and third levels to see?
Open the net. Sir, open.
Open the sky.
Open the sky.
Inside, I would say.
So this is on the outer walls or?
I'll show you. It is on these you have it. Here. Outside.
Another
Yes.
question, you had said earlier that all sculptures were plastered.
Plastered.
So,
Plastered.
plastered.
Plastered. That they Sudai Bhusar, stucco.
So what we see now is without the plaster.
Yes, sir.
Originally these were also plastered. How are we so sure they were plastered?
There are remnants of, there are 2 reasons. The Shastra says it must be plastered, painted, and they have also given clues of what is the painting to be done at all. And even in Mahabalipuram you can see the remnants in number of places.
I'm not too sure about that, sir.
No.
You can make a visit to Panamalai and have.
No, you don't have. It's not something I can talk about. Experts say.
But it looks so finely finished even without plaster.
That's what I am saying. Vishnu Dharmotara very clearly says it must be plastered and painted. It is 7th, 8th century treatise. Vishnu Dharmotara very clearly says how it should be done also.
Since this was an experimental setup, maybe.
And I can show, no. I can show you this plaster in Ajanta. Can show you in Paramala.
I have a suggestion. Since these monuments were not completed, perhaps the plastering was not yet done. Maybe they meant it to be done.
No, the great penance was not complete. But there are still paints, even today we can see the plaster in some places like this. Anyway, the point is, whether all of them were plastered and painted because they were not complete and so on, so that's the question that remains. But generally in Indian religious art, all sculptures were plastered and painted. And it is possible that some of them were not complete and so they were not this one. But the point I would like to say is, they are complete in every respect before they were plastered and painted. That's the point that I made before. It is a religious penance that they do. When they, even when they select the stone, they have certain very strict procedure for doing it. Which direction you should be facing, what sound you should give, and so on and so forth.
In Brihadeeshwara temple, the sculptures, would they have also?
They were all plastered. They were all plastered. All plastered. Some of them you can see.
Even now we can see.
We can see even. But the question is that whether these were finished enough for plastering and painting, we don't know. But in some places, even in the Great Penance, we can see the plaster.
Sir, if I may add a little bit, Ganapati Sthapathi feels that as a Sthapathi, he does not make things for being plastered. Because he is including all the ornaments, the dresses, everything there. He says when ritualistic religion takes over, that is when the robing and the plastering happens.
I would, my Vishnu Dharmatara overrules Ganapati Sthapathi. And it's not this one. Shivaratana, everybody says it's not what Ganapati says. It probably is true. Because today you cannot do it because you have introduced Abhishekam, Alakaram and so on, which is not part of any Agama. Agamas do not say that it should be. None of them has. There is no. Agamas do not recommend or do not prescribe the Alakaram and Abhishekam. So you cannot do it now. Can I proceed?
Were they really places of worship at the time Pallava was there?
You see, again, when we ask this question, were they made to be places of worship? They should be places of worship because these are all temples. Number one, they are all religious. This one with, for example, in Draupadi Ratha, you have Durga in the back of this wall. And also in many other places, for example, Shore Temple, Somaskanda panel is there really. So it must be, a god must be there only for worshipping, for all I know. It is not a drawing room decoration in those days. Today it is.
But there is this mixture of religions there. You see Shaivism and Vaishnavism and probably other, even within Shaivism there are multiple sects. And you see remnants of all of them.
You see, this is the period of Bhakti movement, 600 to 900. It is a very momentous period in our history. When they made this kind of divisions like the Shaivism, Vaishnavism, as we find today, or post Ramanuja, whatever it is, I don't want to get into a discussion on this one, probably did not exist that. For example, in Adivaraha Mandapam, you have Gangadhara. You have Gangadhara in Adivaraha Mandapam. The original deity definitely is Vishnu only, Adivaraha.
Is there any sign of worship at all in any of these temples apart from?
We don't know. We don't know. You see, I will tell you, the inscriptions which are given by the Cholas later, at least 300, 400 years later, says there has been worship. And they are Nivandam Mandakanda. They have given offerings. They have given sanctions.
But there will be some signs of worship like Kumkumam or whatever.
See, 1400 years gone. And let me tell you, the sad story is, after probably 900 or so, the place was completely deserted. When the Europeans came, most of them were re-excavated from sand. I'm going to show you some photographs. There is nothing there. In fact, Mahabalipuram, as we see today, would not have existed unless if the Europeans had not excavated it.
What about the Adi Varaha Mandapam? Was it also buried under sand?
More, either. See, this I do not know if this particular one, Stalasayana Perumal, that is the Perumal temple that is inside, that has been under worship. But none of them, we don't know. We have no idea. We have no idea. These are some of the sculptures that you find at the first level, that is second level.
Sir,
Yes.
these panels that you're just showing us, these carvings, were they part of one monolithic block?
Monolithic block, monolithic, entire single stone, everything.
Including the frame?
Everything, everything.
It looks like it was made somewhere.
No, not like the later niches. No, they are all part of this one. As road, I think I can ask Michelangelo put it. They only removed unwanted things. This is in the top level. Right in the top level, you have the Garbhagriha, fully made. At the center of it is a Somaskanda. Because it's early, Brahma and Vishnu are on the side, standing. Later they will find a place behind Shiva. In all later compositions, this is the early one. And there are a number of the beautiful ones. I am not going to detail many of them. I will probably show you a few. Let us have a look at some of these sculptures. Tandu is being instructed on dance by Shiva. Shiva and Tandu. Then comes Tandav. A woman devotee is taking offerings to the temple. This is Garuda in the human form and Vishnu. You can see the expression that is.
It's cylindrical grounds.
Huh?
I see the cylindrical grounds.
Yeah.
That is unusual for the Indian.
No. All Pallava kings had conical crown shape.
Typical of Pallava.
It's very typical of them.
But the Persians also have cylindrical grounds.
Huh? Sometimes, I say, God and king, this one that has been always interchangeable in the Pallava times. See this. Rishabhantika. And remember, 1400 years ago, on hard granite. Bhimaratha, this massive ratha has the superstructure shape like a wagon top and remains of the wooden originals. Designed for reclining Vishnu, it has many interesting architectural features on the top and on the sides. The Nasika, Alpanasika and so on and so forth on this side. And on the sides also, beautiful. Arjuna Ratha, similar to Dharmaraja Ratha, with octagonal crown, this is an irresistible sight with some exquisite sculptures on the ground floor and a few royal figures on the first level. தர்மராஜத்தில் மேல போய் பார்க்க முடியாதனால சில ஸ்கல்ப்சர்ல கீழே வந்து பார்க்கலாம். இந்த ரிஷபாந்திகா பாருங்க. On the walls are found a divinity in the center, flanked by royal figures and with gatekeepers on the extremities. All these are in the classical portrait. For example, ஈஸ்ட்ல இருக்கிறது, நடுவில் இருக்கிறது வந்து இந்திரநாமம் இருக்கலாம், சுப்பிரமணிய நாமம். And on this side you have a rishi and his disciple, and here a prince and probably her maid and the two gatekeepers, or you can say servants. Here is Rishabhantika. This is on the southern side. Rishabhantika, one of the most beautiful poses. You will find one very similar to this one in the second level of Dharmaraja. Again, some beautiful difference could be. This is slightly elongated, and which you can find in Nolamba and other things, even more Pala and other things, even more elongated. They become See some of these things from the Arjuna Ratha. Then finally Draupadi Ratha. This heart-shaped stone has a relief of Durga in the center. This is the only one in this group which has relief on the back, except the Dharmarajan, the top one, which somebody like Lockwood says it has been done later. The two elegant female gatekeepers. Now something very important about the Pallava, this one is that they are similar but not same. Not the mirror copy. For example, later you will find the true Dwarapalakas will be solid and heavy, exactly the same and so on. I used to say something, and see, we went on a the Mahendra trail. I showed them that all the gatekeepers have a crown on their place. Later in Mahabalipuram, you will find some faint smile on their face. And when I was saying this one, when I was taking some people to Mahabalipuram, these groups of very well, I just mentioned that the difference between a frown and a smile are only a few granules of granite, but that few granules of granite must run in the blood of the Sthapati. And one was a Sthapati in us, and he immediately became so happy, sir, I never thought like this, you put it so nice. It did not come from me, it just slip of the tongue, I should say. Here also you will find that gatekeepers are themselves great sculptures. This is the typical Durga. You will have a few ganas on the top, one devotee here and the other one sacrificing himself or herself, the cutting off. These are mentioned even in early Tamil literature. The problem is that even by this time I have got to, even anytime you want, I will give you a copy. This is absider. Actually, Chandru was saying, I took Chandru and other people to in one of these things. Shalukuppam, Adrinachanda and the Tiger Cave and the new excavation after tsunami, it took 3 hours. I have taken about 18 groups so far. Each time it is 8 to 9 and 9.5 hours, and no time we could complete Mahabalipuram. And for example, some of these sculptures worth studying for half an hour. Ganesh Ratha. This wagon-shaped Ratha is almost finished. Its sculptural quality is very good, particularly of the architectural details on the superstructure. It contains enigmatic inscriptions, most of which are reproduced in a few other monuments as to its importance. I told you, there are 3 inscriptions which are similar in meaning. But one is in Ganesh, the Dharmaraja Mandapam, Yeli cave temple. One in Adrinachanda Mandapam, some of the aspects, some of the features look later, and this one definitely much later. This monolith, it is much later. It is also found here. Then what do you make out of it? This is the question, unanswered question. This is the inscription, again thanks to Lockwood. Most people would not have gone to the outskirts of this one, very close to the Bajayam temple. You have 3 beautiful in desolate majesty. This is what the word used by Venkatraman Sharma in the manual of Pudukkottai. When he talks about Kaliyapatti Shiva temple, the earliest Eli Chola temple is Kaliyapatti in Pudukkottai. And that is, you cannot find it because in the midst of the cultivated land, and nobody knows where it is. And Venkatraman Sharma says that this is in desolate majesty. It is this one. Nobody goes there. But I can assure you, if you come with me, you will spend 2 to 3 hours on this, because here you can find some of the clues how granite hillocks were. How did they mark? How did they cut large chunks and went into smaller quarries? Then finally this one you can speak from here. there is also just in front of this one, on this side, you have the complete marking for a monolith. But it is so dirty. You have got to break it. Yes, sir.
Is this guarded against vandals?
Guarded, but vandals, you cannot guard it against vandals. You can guard it for government regulation. People just go in. They
But
go.
someone can just take this away.
Fortunately, it is a hill off. It is a hill itself. They could not take it. Otherwise, they would have taken it. Within 100 yards of this, plot along both within 100 yards.
Dumping ground there.
Huh?
Dumping ground there.
Oh my God.
Huge dumping.
Very recently, they have started dumping it on this one, and it's stinking. Stinking. All of us will go one day, see all these things, and straight go to whichever the department, whichever it is, and say that something you do, something you do.
The garbage product is probably the best production.
Huh?
If you put garbage there, probably the best production. Again,
No, they are all well protected because இது எதுவுமே ஒருத்தர் கட் பண்ணிட்டு போக முடியாது. Another attempt to come and have to come and cut it and go. These will be safe, but nobody can see this. And these are real.
Here only we saw that unfinished prakaram.
Yes. Yes. என்னுடைய ஒர்க் ஷாப் சயின்ஸ் செமினார் பற்றி சொல்லும்போது I am suggesting that we should spend one full day on each one of these, namely structural temples one full day, cave temples one full day, and monoliths one full day. Then we will probably do some justice. Okay. Now we will break for a cup of coffee, and hope some will return. My senior colleague P.V. Indiration, everybody knows here. One day I gave a lecture in IIT Delhi, he attended. Then asked me a few questions. I said I couldn't cover this. I said, Swaminathan, don't try to cover so many, uncover a bit. He is very characteristic. His characteristic is to use such words, in the class also. He is very, very late. So, I uncovered a bit so far. There are, if you talk about structural temples, perhaps Rajasimha introduced construction of temples using stone for the first time. There are also people who say that his father started it, Parameshwara started it, let it be subject of PhD elsewhere. Now, there are 3 temples that you find in Mahabalipuram. One is the most famous, the logo of Mahabalipuram, are the snow temples that you see on the show. These are twin temples, both Shiva and Shiva temples. What is important is, there is a temple in between. That temple, most people don't know or don't look at it because it is covered with most ugly door you can ever think of. The antithesis of the Pallava grace. And this contains a Pallikonda Perumal. It is a monolith. It is sculptured on a live rock. And perhaps the earliest sculpture of Mahabalipuram is a Pallikonda Perumal. Around this one constructed the 2 structural temples. Then you have Valakaneshwara temple, which is on the top of the hill. And the hill is established at Mahishasura Mandapam. Above this one is this one.
They are twin temples because they are identical?
They are not identical. One is the taller, the other is shorter. They are not identical.
In between,
Huh?
in between one there is some structure is there.
In between is the Pallikonda Perumal. In fact, that is the Thalasayana Perumal. The problem here is, this is Thalasayana Perumal means it's not an Ananta. The one that is in the what they call Thalasayana Perumal today is the later structural temple that you find very opposite to the great penance panel is called Thalasayana Perumal. It is Anandasayana Perumal. Now they call that one Thalasayana because it happens to be inside, and closer to the sea it is called Janasayana Perumal. Jalasayana Perumal. That's what the common parlance is today. Okay. Now this is Olakaneshwara temple whose top is gone. Remember, all temples during this period, even later the middle Chola, they were all அடுக்கப்பட்ட கோவில்கள், கட்டப்பட்ட கோவில்கள் இல்லை. They were all simply stones put one over the other. There was no plaster. This, and there are no foundations also. There are no foundations. There is no transfer of load. Why should there be any foundation anyway? That is, in my opinion, that's the main reason. Many of the temples are gone. அவன் கீழே வந்த கல்லை துடுக்க எடுத்து இருப்பான். There is no foundation, so you do not know any trace of the temple. In Kodumbalur, they say 108 temples were there. Except for Ivargovil, there is no trace of any other temple. Okay. This Olakaneshwara temple is a beautiful temple. It's a structural temple, probably the second one that he built. And some of the views we can see. This is called Olakaneshwara, later Olakku Ennai Ishwaram. For some time, people started collecting Olakku Ennai from every house and they lived the permanent land there, I am told. So Olakku Ennai Ishwaram, we have no idea what was the name before. It has got some beautiful, highly eroded panels on the outside. This is probably, Mukunda Nayana temple is probably the earliest Pallava temple, the real eyesore for the Pallavas. முதல்ல திருஷ்டி பரிகாரம் பண்ணிட்டு தான் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்காரு நம்ம தெரியல. This is uncouth and out of balance. This is நீங்க வந்து அந்த காருக்குள்ள டிக்கெட் வாங்குறதுக்கு ஒருத்தர் போவீங்க, அந்த இடத்துக்கு லெஃப்ட் சைட்ல இருக்கும், எஸ்காவேட்டர் கொஞ்சம் கீழே போயிருக்கும், அதுல போட்டு அதுல போட்டுருக்கோம். It doesn't have the Pallava features, but it's a Pallava temple. These are the three temples that you have. Sleek and delicate shrines. These are photographers, they show temples. The setting is dramatic, washed by the waves for centuries. The two temples dedicated to Shiva, the beginning of Gopuram that became the hallmark of the South Indian temple can be seen here. The Prakaram once contained some beautiful sculptures, were eaten away by time and waves. Between the two shrines lies a rock-cut reclining Vishnu, most likely the earliest sculpture of Mamala. While the complex houses a number of religious artifacts in the environs, the Pallavas have attempted to satisfy their artistic curiosity with every outcrops. Short temple. The east-facing shrine is 4-story, has a square plan and octagonal crown. The finial, the stupi, adds to its elegance. அது வந்து இதுல இது வந்து எல்லாமே லெஃப்ட் ஹேண்ட்ல பண்ணது, அது மாத்திரம் I don't know. The sanctum contains an excellent Somaskanda relief and a lingam that was added later. The attending deities, Brahma and Vishnu, and the gatekeepers are all eroded. So are most of those on the Prakaram. இங்க அந்தகாசுரா இதான் மெயினா இருக்கக்கூடிய இது சோமஸ்கந்தா பேனல். These are the two shrines. On the north of the shore temples, எல்லா இடத்துலையும் ஷோர் டெம்பிள் தான் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. நான் வந்து ஷோர் டெம்பிள் யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு எது ரேட்டிங் நீங்களே யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. The shore temples are a few interesting but intriguing objects. A mini shrine this is a mini shrine. இதுக்குள்ள ஒரு சிவ இத ரிஷபன் பக்கத்துல உட்கார்ந்திருக்கிற ரிஷபாந்திகா இது இருக்கு. இது வரணும், இது this is the live rock, this is one piece, this another piece, this another piece. Here is a Varaha, the Varaha, and there is one more here. There is a small well system. அதுல வந்து royal figure, and this is quite below. Here as well as here, there are Pallava Grantha inscriptions repeated in Panama. The same thing is repeated in Panama. So this must be Rajasthan. Ashok. To the north. This is the one. Here is the live temple. Again, as I mentioned to you, you have a niche within which is Mahishasuramardan. It's a beautiful small one. The total height will be like this only. Carved excellently beautiful. அந்த கேட் கீப்பர் இங்க ஒரு அம்மா இருக்காங்க, அங்கே ஒரு அம்மா இருக்காங்க. இதை நீங்க வந்து தினம் சவுத் மெட்ராஸ் இருக்கவங்க எல்லாரும் இதை ஒரு தடவை பாக்குறாங்க. ரொம்ப அங்கிலியா இருக்கும். இந்த அடையார் பிரிட்ஜ் இருக்கும் இல்லையா, அதுல கலர் எழுதிட்டு இருக்காங்க ரீசெண்டா. அண்ட் one more here, there is a small one deer, beautiful except its head is cut off. Next. இந்த டைகர் கேவ் மாதிரியே இந்த இடத்துல பாருங்க. இங்க எல்லாம் டான்சர்ஸ் அதுக்கு இது கை கோத்து ஆடுறாங்க, பின்னாடி குதிரை என்னென்ன போல பண்ணி வச்சிருக்காங்க. இதெல்லாம் அவங்களுக்கு again remember they are Atyanta Kamas. And this is called as the Pallava model. Again, these things are not repeated anywhere in Indian art history anywhere. இது பல்லவா மார்பல்ல நான் சொல்றேன். இது வந்து ஒரு குகை கோவில். இங்க இந்த ரைடிங் எலிபென்ட்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய இவங்க அந்த பக்கத்துல வந்து கேட் கீப்பர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. Here you have, this is Mahishasuran being killed by the Vahanam of Durga, lion itself. இது வந்து வெளியில இருக்கு, இந்த ஷோ டெம்பிளுக்கு நார்த்ல இருக்கு. Most of the time it is under water. For the remaining portion it is a public toilet. And definitely within the next 50 years it will be lost. And I can, in my personal opinion, this is the Pallava marble. Something, and that is, you know, it is a composition. It is an artistic composition. We can see only the art part of it. And to think of a theme like this, a motif like this, and execute it so well, it can be done only by the Pallava Kamas. And I have talked to at least 100 people in Mahabalipuram. Nobody is aware of this. Fortunately, when I took my daughter and a few other people, at that time there was a low tide, you could go near this. And to go to this one, it is a big difficulty. You cannot reach so easily. Okay, all these are Pallava reductions. Next, Vakaneshwara temple. The Pallava fancy in action again, constructing a temple on the top of the hill. This abode for Shiva has lost its superstructure, and to add to the woe, most of the executed sculptures are now mostly eroded. Being the tallest point, one can have a view of the sea and around, and for that reason, it was being used as a lighthouse during the British days. Next. In Alhamdulillah, the Ravana Pukrapa. Next. In eroded condition. Next. It was the lighthouse. Till the new lighthouse was constructed in 1900.
அந்த லோக்கல்ஸ் ஒரு இது சொல்றாங்க, இதுக்கும் சுரங்க பாதை இருக்கு.
ஒரு இடத்துல சுரங்க பாதை இது வந்து கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது. லோக்கல்ஸ் நிறைய சொல்றாங்க. லோக்கல்ஸ் நம்மளும் நம்ம ஊரை பத்தி அப்படிதான் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கோம். இதுல ராக்போர்ட்டுக்கு வாசல்ல ராக்போர்ட் வாசல் ஒரு சின்ன குழி இருக்கு. அதே கரூர் இல்ல எங்க ஊருக்கு வந்து நாட்டா வரைக்கும் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஊர்ல கரூர் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஒவ்வொரு இடத்துலயும் இது வந்து கண்டுபிடிச்சா நம்ம ரொம்ப ஆசை தான். நம்ம ஊருக்கான இங்க இருந்து செஞ்சியில இருந்து மைசூர் வரலும் கர்னல் தோட்டா நமக்கு தானே சந்தோஷம். பட் somebody has got to prove it. At least there is nothing here. You can see the end here. This is the lighthouse. It was still about 1900. இது ஒன்று பாருங்க. Most likely, according to the experts, when it was being, there was an attempt to convert the Shiva shrine into a Vaishnava shrine, and to accommodate a Palivanda Perumal, they have cut off this one. They were about to cut off this one, but later they could not do it, and ASA has later put a very ugly square pillar over here. You can see remnants of the changes also over there. Next. இது மாத்திரம் இல்ல. According to Lockwood, it was originally a Vaishnava shrine. only Shiva converted into the Vishnu shrine, the Shiva shrine. Okay. Now, this is the Mukunda Nayanar temple. It's a beautiful, here there is a beautiful Somaskarga. Here on this one you have some beautiful sculptures. One that is Narasimha is a beautiful. Narasimha used to be a regular feature in all Shiva temples before. And Gajalakshmi even today is there at the entrance. This is the one which is the last of the, or the first this one which I am showing it for the last. Next. Now we come to the last one, open air passages. The incomparable great panels and unfinished panel of the same theme, the Govardhana panel are the three main panels. There are two more, a minor elephant panel close to the Trimurti Mandapam and another one, the Salvapukam complex, depict the final scene of the Vaishakana Mardini. So there are 5 of them. They appear for the first time in Mahabalipuram and do not appear again in the Indian art. Next. This is the whole one. Next. An ascetic seeking boon from Shiva is a scene that is not only largest but perhaps the grandest. The entire cosmos is depicted here. That is mind-boggling. I am going to go in some detail. I see an engineer's hand in it. Almost 10 feet high, Shiva, personification of beatitude and benediction, seems satisfied at the resolute bhakti of the ascetic and is granting boon. I avoid the controversy whether it is Arjuna or Bhagyartha. I say ascetic. Next. Pinaka, the trident characteristic to the Shiva. Hand in Varga Mudra at the top. Hand holding tail of cobra that looks down behind and reappears. Next. The moon on his head. Makara and Patra Kundalas on the ears that minimally dressed Shiva is a majesty. Undoubted.
Can we say that it's a trident or a spear?
Huh?
Trident or spear?
Trident தானே இது நிறைய பேர் கான்ட்ரோவர்சி ட்ரைடன்ட் தான் சொல்றீங்க இது வந்து ஸ்பியர் மாதிரி இருக்கு ஆனா எல்லாரும் ட்ரைடன்ட் சொல்றாங்க அதனால ஐ எம் நாட் ஆர்ட் ஹிஸ்டோரியன் ஆர்ட் எக்ஸ்பர்ட் அண்ட் ஆல் ஸோ ஐ கோ பை த மெஜாரிட்டி ஃபார் மீ இட் லுக்ஸ் லைக் வேல் இதுவரையிலும் அது கொஸ்டின் ஒருத்தருமே பண்ணல அதனால நானும் கொஸ்டின் பண்ணேன் நீங்க நம்மளாம் கொஸ்டின் பண்ணலாம் எங்க எழுதுறது தெரியல ரைட் நெக்ஸ்ட் ஆக்சுவலி I have lot of differences of opinion with many of the experts. But I don't use my argument at all because I don't think I am correct. I can raise maybe I don't have a background. So that's where it is. The ascetic stands resolutely on one leg. Head thrown back slightly with well-set mouth, sharp nose and flat nostrils. The emaciated body, bearded face, sunken ribs, withered muscles adhering to the protruding elbows and knees are results of years of self-denial austerities. Loincloth, wet and limp, interlocking his fingers, he is seen with Surya Namaskar. இந்த ஒரு பாவம், இந்த ஒரு posture, this is very rare. And if you look at the entire cosmos of Mahabalipuram, perhaps this could be called the best sculpture. Carefully sculpted, dramatically individualist masterpieces, and what a contrast between the boon seeker and the boon giver. Next. Ella moopodangal adhe nyavam vechukkonga. For more details on the moopodangal, you can refer to Michael. Now we shall see a few others in the memorable scene. Gandharvas. Effortless flying. யாரோ வார்த்தை எந்த இடத்துல பார்த்தேன் ரொம்ப அழகா இருந்தது. Effortless flying. Each one in different poses, different postures, but effortless. Kinnaras, the celestial musicians. மாடிக்கு இடுப்பு கீழே பேர்டு பொண்ணு வந்து ஜால்ரா இது பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. இப்போ ஆம்பளை ஜால்ரா பொண்ணு ஜால்ரா இந்த ஆம்பளை வந்து வீடு அது வந்து இது நிறைய இந்த மாதிரி stylized lives. Next. Vedas doing ablutions in the Ganga. It's one of the beautiful sculptures. இது வந்து ஈஸியா பார்க்க முடியாது. அந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல போய் பார்க்கணும், ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். Somebody has taken a good photograph. This is from Michael Rabe. Michael Rabe is a very interesting story, the art historian. His this one is the whole Great Penance is a slide. It tells you, it tells the story of Bhagirath as well as Arjuna. That is what is contained in his thesis. By the way, his PhD thesis, he is now art teacher, professor in art in Chicago, in some university in Chicago. His PhD thesis is chronology of the Pallavas from the Mahabalipuram monuments. These are the forest dwellers. முதல்ல forest dwellers museum. Forest dwellers, your forest dwellers. இல்ல இங்க தான் forest dwellers in various action. வேட்டையாட போறவங்க என்னென்ன பண்ணுவாங்களோ இதை எடுத்துட்டு இங்க ஒருத்தன் இதை எடுத்துட்டு போறான், இங்க ஒருத்தன் வந்து உரியில இதை எடுத்துட்டு போறான், காவடி எடுத்துட்டு போறான், இங்க மரம், குரங்கு, இங்க ஒரு உடும்பு, all kinds of things. Next, monkey in pensive mood, stylized line, striding deer, relaxing deer couple, probably one of the best portrayals. Next, the crafty cat and the unsuspecting mice. Interestingly, this is repeated on the prakaram of Ashok temple, where you see the cat eating the mouse. The Ashok photo. This is light-picking monkey, but this does not belong to this place. It was originally found very close to the Mukunda Nayana temple at the beginning of the Mahabalipuram. It has been brought over here. Then the most majestic. In the panel of Bhakumbode, whether it was meant for Vishnu and the ascetic or for the main characters or anyway the elephants, there was no doubt. Because the elephants are large, extremely carefully sculpted. Jamboli, elephant herd. This is minor elephant panel here. Next. And the unfinished Great Penance. Close to the masterpiece is an apology. Perhaps the sculptors took training of or work of ones who did not make the grade. The theme looks the same, but of the Great Penance, but the work in shallow relief is not inspired, does not inspire. நான் இதை வந்து 50 செகண்ட்ஸ்ல முடிச்சுட்டேன். நீங்க நேரா போய் பார்த்தோம்னா there are very interesting similarities as well as differences. And now people with imagination will be able to draw many conclusions from seeing these two, because scene is the same. இதான் இந்த அசெட்டிக், இதான் அதனுடைய பாஸ்டர், அதனுடைய இதுவே டிஃபரெண்டா இருக்கு. Next, this is another beautiful panel. The Govardhana panel is another masterpiece. The effortless lifting of the mountain to save his people. The consequent relaxed mood of the people have been brought alive. The Pallava way. On his side is Nappinai. Somebody said Nappinai, it's so attractive to me. I also say Nappinai, whether it's Nappinai or somebody else, I don't know. This Nappinai. And Balarama assuaging a friend. This fellow is really quite terrified, probably because of the Indra's thunderbolt and Indra's rain and thunder. Who's Nappinai?
Right.
Radha, you have 1,000 to choose from. There is a mandapam in front, which is a later construction. It is actually open air basket. During the Vijayanagara period, there is a mandapam that has been constructed in front. Yes. These are some of the scenes. இதை வந்து நிறைய பேர் வந்து ஆய்ச்சியர் கூட்டம் கூட சொல்லுவாங்க. பால் கறக்கிற சீன். இதுல This is probably the only place where you find secular scenes. அந்த பக்கத்துல வந்து கோவர்தனத்தை தாங்குற மாதிரி கிருஷ்ணன் பக்கத்துல பலராமன் அவங்க கொஞ்சம் பேர் இருக்காங்க தவிர மத்த எல்லாமே the only place where you find the normal people on their normal routine. For example, somebody will be going around carrying உரியில வந்து பால் தயிர் எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்க, ஒருத்தர் ஃப்ரூட் வாங்கிட்டு அவர் குழந்தைய வந்து எல்லாம் ரொம்ப அழகா இருக்கு. Next. And this is the minor elephant panel. This is the only non-religious panel. No religious import over here. And again, beautiful sculpture. Here comes something fantastic. This is definitely later than the original Mahishasuramardini that you find the Mahishasuramardini cave. This is in front of the Adirada Chande cave. Small outcrop has been sculpted. Here you find Devi getting down from the lion. And this fellow is now running. All the fellows are running. And he is now defeated. Because the umbrella is still here, the umbrella is lost here. Which means he has lost. He is running away. And she is probably getting down. When she gets down, it is on a lotus. And probably she is going to finally finish him off. So you can take it as a sequel to the original one. There is a small one in front and can be enjoyed for half an hour, 1 hour. And it's a beautiful piece, an excellent piece. Yes. And the mother already touched me in these panels, at least 4 main panels, Varaha and Trimurti, Varaha and Trivikrama in Varaha Mandapam, and Mahishasuramardini and Anantasayanam are among the 12 panels of this kind from Ellora and other places, studied closely by a great researcher and scholar called Alice Boner. Alice Boner was an art critic. She lived major part of her life in India, in Kashi. She is also decorated with a Padma Shri by the government of India. And she spent 20 years studying these 12 panels and came up with some very interesting this one, which many people don't agree, even some others don't agree. That for each panel, for totally all the panels, she has spent 20 years for 12 panels. She has come up with space division and the time division she explained. It's a beautiful book published by the Indira Gandhi Center for Arts and so on. I don't understand much. I leave it to you. If you understand, let me also know. But what is important is, it is subject for study by an art historian of that standard for 20 years. The time division. இதெல்லாம் அதுக்கு மேல எனக்கு புரியல. ஓரளவு நான் படிச்சு உட்கார்ந்திருக்கேன். Maybe after 5 or 10 years, probably after 12 years, I will understand. 20 years, I will understand. அதே மாதிரி எல்லாரும் நான் படிக்கிறேன். Yes. Okay. That's it. Normally, it's a never-ending exhilaration. These monuments stood the test of time, but most of the time left neglected mostly under sand and debris by the descendants of those who created these marvels, perhaps ashamed of the insensitivity of the human folk to art and piety. கை தட்டிடாதுங்க பாக்கி வச்சிருக்கேன். இப்ப வந்து I would like to ask you one thing. It's now 4:45. The paintings done by the Europeans during the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. I'll just quickly go through. In fact, documentation of all our things happened after the Europeans only. 1896, Sival was the collector of Madurai, and he was the man who first discovered the Mangulam inscription. Yes, sir. Correct. And he was the man, when he became a collector of Kanchipuram, discovered all the Pallava temples. Till that time, everybody thought that the early Chola temples down south are the earliest temples of South India. Kanchipuram, Kailasanatha temple, nobody knew that. Before 1896, nobody knew that there was a temple like Mukteshwara temple. Nothing is known. And within 10 years, Alexander Reed brought out the most beautiful documentation of Kailasanatha temple, which even today we cannot read. I have a complete this one of this one. In fact, I would like to tell you one thing. More or less, most of the books that I have referred to are read. I have scanned it and got it in the form of e-book. I can give it to anybody. In fact, I would like some volunteers to come and do a little bit of finer work so that it is useful for everybody. That is one thing. Now, and there was one Colin Mackenzie, the man who collected everything under the sky. He came to India as a soldier. He was in action against Tipu Sultan Hyder Ali and so on. Finally retired as the Surveyor General of India. And he was the first man to excavate all the Salvakuppam monuments from debris. And his manuscripts are almost everything that you can think of. It is all mostly now in the British Museum now, fortunately. If it is in Indian Museum, they would have thrown it.
We also have part of it in Madras University.
The fort also. The fort also, the part of it is there. And I see.
Government oriented management.
Okay. Now, the Madras University has published 4 volumes.
That is the one. GOML is inside.
So, that is the one. I have a couple of copies. A couple of volumes of this. Now, I would like to show that one quickly. Later, if you are still having patience, I can show you how I looked at the 2 panels like Anandasayanam and Mahishasuramartini, giving how when were the first sculptures of Mahishasuramartini, how are they depicted, how did they go, how did they develop over a period of time, and what happened after Mahabalipuram, and how do you appreciate the art of the Mahabalipuram sculptures, which I will leave it for the time being. I will immediately show you the work done, documentation done by the European artist. I will just quickly go through that. That will take only 10 minutes. Afterwards, you can decide. The earliest satellite photograph of Mahabalipuram, the only thing is there was no satellite.
It's a joke.
This was done in the late 18th century. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? They have actually measured and brought out this picture. Everything has been identified. And 1860. Before these people came, they started excavating. This is Ajana Chande Mandapam. This was all covered with sand for not less than 6 centuries. See, it is a photograph, and they have corded it off. You can see here the Nagaraja அவருடைய தலை கீழ் வந்திருக்கு. அது அப்புறம் எடுத்து வச்சாங்க. அந்த இதனுடைய யானையோட இதுவரையும் மண் இருக்கு. தர்மராஜ மண்டபம். go for, as recorded visually by the Europeans in the 18th and 19th centuries. The first person we must all be grateful is Colonel Colin Mackenzie. Colonel Mackenzie was a remarkable person. His collections and research significantly contributed to the field of Indian studies. என்னென்னலாம் கலெக்ட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. சங்கு, தலப்பா, drawing, எல்லாத்தையும் கலெக்ட் பண்ணாங்க. Born in Britain, he joined the army of East India Company in 1782 and saw action in the famous battles against Tipu Sultan. He became the first Surveyor General of India. He used all his earnings in collecting and recording details concerning every aspect of Indian civilization. Architecture, language and religion, history and geography, natural history, customs and folk tradition. He was specially interested in Indian mathematics and Indian logarithms. His labor resulted in thousands of drawings and copies of inscriptions. He lies buried in Calcutta. He never went back to UK. He came at the age of 18 or so. Never went back to UK. He is buried in Calcutta. Most of what we could be seeing in this presentation are from the Mackenzie's priceless collection. A map in watercolor showing locations of temples, a satellite picture without satellite. A number of artists have contributed recording contemporary scenes in Mahabalabha. The most important among them are Thomas Daniel and his nephew William Daniel. Thomas Daniel and his nephew William travelled throughout India from 1786 to 1794, drawing and painting the landscapes, views and monuments they witnessed along the way. Now let us see some of these scenes. Trimurti Mandapam.
It's actually etching.
கடைசியில் etching. படம் போட்டதுக்கப்புறம் etching. Upward tint. Upward tint அந்த காலத்தில்.
First etch and then upward.
ஆமா. First etching, then upward. Next. ஒவ்வொரு படத்தையும் போட்டு ஒவ்வொரு ஸ்கல்ப்சரையும் போட்டுருக்காங்க. Next. கப்பல் ஈஸ்வர். கப்பல் ஈஸ்வர். கப்பலேஸ்வர். Yes. Vishnu. Next. Mahishasuramartini. Makaratamba. Yes. Parahamandapam. Pasalma. Valakaneshwara temple and Mahishasuramartini temple. Next. அதே மாதிரி இந்த பக்கம் இந்த டைரக்ஷன் இன்னொரு டைரக்ஷன் இந்த போட்டோ வில்லியம் டேனியலுடைய ஸ்கெட்ச் பிஃபோர் பெயிண்டிங். இது அவரோட பெயிண்டிங். அதுல அந்த நாகராஜா தலை கிடையாது இல்ல, அப்ப இல்ல.
Temple covered it.
இது
The temple covered underneath the.
this one is the Sthalasena Perumal. Sthalasena Perumal.
You still have that?
Still we have, yes. Yes, still. See the great penance. அடுத்தது பாருங்க, ரொம்ப கம்ப்ளீட் பேப்பர் எல்லாம் வச்சு ஒட்டி இந்த கம்ப்ளீட் பேனலை போட்டுட்டாங்க. காஞ்சி பாண்டவராக எஸ் குதிரை இந்த கேமல் எல்லாம் எடுத்துட்டாங்க. இது வந்து அர்ஜுனன் வரைஞ்சு கம்ப்ளீட்டா டைமென்ஷன் இருக்காங்க. ஒவ்வொரு பார்ட்டும் ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணி டைமென்ஷன் இருக்கு. நெக்ஸ்ட் தீபரதா These are all available in the British Museum now. Next. தர்மராஜன் கீழே இருக்கக்கூடிய கிரவுண்ட் ஃப்ளோர்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய எல்லா அதே மாதிரி ஒவ்வொன்றையும் போட்டுட்டாங்க. எஸ். நெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃப்ளோர். திஸ் இஸ் த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃப்ளோர்.
The inscriptions are
These inscriptions are Grantha. These are basically titles of the Pallava kings. அதே கிளியரா போட்டுருக்கோம். You saw some of them. Yeah. Dimension put. எல்லாம் இதா இருக்கு. Yes.
Pillars are different.
Huh?
Pillars look different.
Everything
Yes.
is,
அதே மாதிரி.
everything that appears here is still there now.
Yes. 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 I just want to tell you one thing. This is still existing. Ida Kodima, flat rock. It is a monolith. It is made out of the solid rock. It's still there. They have finally included it in the stone before stopping the sea. Yes. Yes. Yes.
This is a photograph.
Photograph. This is a photograph. This is what I told you, the Pallava model. Next. Yes. General view. These are Gopura windows. I think we will close it, close it.
One more session we will start.
We may have it some session sometime later. Or I can give you the CD. You can see it for yourself. In fact, without me it will be even better. So anyway, thank you very much being so patient. Let me know whether you have any questions.
Where can we get a copy of those e-books?
நான் எனக்கு மெயில் ஐடி கொடுத்துருங்க சார் கிட்ட இல்லாட்ட எங்கிட்ட கொடுத்துருங்க அதுக்கு இன்ஃபேக்ட் we can ask somebody to help getting a few the number of copies made that can so that it can be stored. I can only copy one by one. There are other methods by which people may be able to copy it faster or multiple copies can be made. And
I'll make multiple copies.
one
Print
thing
copies.
is, can we get 2 or 3 people who can go? For example, I have some very interesting books. The 5,000 Years of Indian Art by C. Shivaram is an excellent book. And I have got it completely in the form of e-book. Not only that, this is an inconvenient shape. In A4 sheets you cannot scan it. So I have to scan it every page twice. Then convert it into Word. Then adjust the font size such that each the page comes in the same one with the same pictures, and I have done it. It has taken enormous amount of time, but I am prepared to give it to anybody. Please take it from me. Now, can we at least do these things for Mahabalipuram and make finally a package, a Mahabalipuram library, which can be in 2 or 3 cities. Anybody can have it. So tell VC that if you are interested, you can put in some Sramdan பண்ணனா நல்லா டீசெண்டா பண்ணிடலாம். அதுக்கு இண்டெக்ஸ் எல்லாம் போட்டு இதெல்லாம் இருக்கு. இப்ப நான் பண்ணேன்னா அவங்க பேர் எழுதி நான் கையால் எழுதி கொடுப்பேன். அதெல்லாம் பண்ண அதெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் பெட்டரா கூட பண்ண முடியும். But I can give you immediately. Yes. Anything else, sir? Yes, sir.
Two questions. The temples that were on the shore, which were constructed with blocks, they came much after the monolithic carved.
Yes. These are the, I'll tell you, the chronologically, all the shore temples were constructed by Rajasimha, the last king, who was the person who constructed the Kailasanatha temple and a few other things in Kanchipuram, and also the Panamalai temple in Paramata. Okay? Now, these were the last, and they are complete.
So are there these secular structures using these kind of blocks apart from temples at the same time?
We are told that even palaces did not use stone. They did not use. Something interesting which I did not mention. You have a citadel above the hill, on the top of the hill. You can still see remnants of some secular structure. And the Madil wall, you can see thousands of bricks there. And also a few places where you can see that probably there was some construction there. That you can see it in the citadel. Above, what I can say is, that is between Baraka cave and Adivaraha cave. On the top you can see.
So they may have been temples constructed out of brick at the same
Yes.
time?
Yes. All temples before that one we are told were constructed out of perishable materials like timber, bricks and so on, which didn't last. Thank you very much. Rumba sandosham irukku.
My introduction to Professor Ayade, well, background for commercial reasons. He was 30 years teaching in IIT Delhi as a mechanical engineer, most of mechanical engineering.
Please use the mic.
I said in my introduction initially I discovered a few elements consciously, but I didn't want to bias you in hearing him. He was 30 years of mechanical engineering professor in IIT Delhi. And even there, he's been constantly innovating in terms of, he had one course offered called Art and Technology, which I believe few students used to take and all that. So, the constant innovation in that sense. So it's a delight to have Professor Swaminathan share his explorations with the rest of us, which he really is always willing to do. So we look forward to more such sessions. Thank you, Swaminathan sir.
One announcement.